Hello everyone, my name's Yuta Jazz and we are going to do a pick-up pile for a message from your inner child. So, yeah, no rhyme or reason for this one. I kind of just have a vibe of doing some readings and this is the reading that kind of came up to do. I've had it actually ticked in my notebook for a while. I never got around to doing it. So, yeah. Besides that, in a way, I feel like even though it's kind of still awkward for me doing videos like this or pickup files like this one kind of feels the most aligned, either just visually or in some fucking weird ass sense. So that could be a bit of a message for someone. I did hear that all of them are reversals, so don't get scared on that. And we're only doing 3 piles today, so probably going to be something that is going to invite a little bit more carefree nature to just enjoy yourself and be compassionate towards yourself over and just like really hone in on, like looking after yourself. A way this is coming across is like imagine, I guess, a kid going through a bit of a tough time, but still always managing and finding ways to cope through it in terms of like, doing what is fun, trying to focus on carefree, carefree type of thinking, and like a careful personal approach where you're just, being softer with yourself instead of just like, oh, like I should do this or that. Like as a kid, you kind of don't really do that. You just do what feels good and you kind of just get through things, even if they're tough or not really, comfortable or not nice. And this message kind of feels like it's gonna be towards the case of like how to find that type of finesse in life and how to find that approach that's going to be helpful, especially with, a focus of being like more compassionate to self or just happier in some way or just finding like a way to get through it in a more fun way even if it's not the most fun way like or the most fun circumstance, I guess. What most fun way can you get through something even if it's not really like the cards aren't in your favor type of thing is what's coming across. If this isn't resonating, you can go to another reading about some inner child stuff that I'm going to read in the future and get the reading from that point because I don't know, this kind of feels like a friendly kick in the butt from the inner child slash a everything's okay, it'll be okay, but you need to really prioritize like yourself in some ways and figure out how to go forward with that type of idea. So we're going to see what type of cards we have. Interesting. Very interesting. Focus. Focus. I said focus. Thank you. So yeah, we have Sparkling Seedling, Growth and Discovery. We have Ready to Roll, Loyalty and Devotion. And we have QR codes scanned to see card descriptions, which I still like having this out as an actual card because it's, I don't know, it reminds me of like codes and programming and intentions and stuff like that, matrix stuff as well, which I don't view it as one way or the other. But yeah, always interesting having that card out. Most people wouldn't have it out. I'm too lazy to separate it from the deck. I will be honest and tell you that I will not be bothering with that. So we're gonna get right in. One, two, three. Choose whichever you want, and we'll see you there in a second. All right, pile number one. So, kinda seems to me like you are doubting some of the things that you've planted seeds on. You're doubtful whether it's coming to fruition, if it's gonna ever happen, or if it like was an even like good investment to try so hard towards planting these seeds, because it seems like nothing's really coming up from it, and this feels like it's a long investing, like this was a long time investing into something, or a big personal passion, or a big personal investment. So either you put a bunch of money into something or it's taken years. Maybe you've been doing something for like 3, 5, 10, 15 years, right? Maybe it's been something that you've been quite very much ambitious about and it's not working. Maybe you've tried creating your startup quite a few times. Maybe you've tried actually investing into stocks in a way that you could have more money to pull towards your personal projects or business. Maybe you've been living out of savings for a while and like really prioritizing working on a thing that is personally a creative endeavor slash is kind of like your own Kickstarter without the actual Kickstarter part of it. Whatever it is, it feels like it's a personal investment you haven't done like much hope around, because lately it feels like a bit of a nosedive or a bit dry, or like you've not gotten harvest from it. If it's none of those things, it is coming across as like maybe trying to get into specific university, maybe trying to get specific qualifications, a particular relationship as well, and having like this romance block of like I've been alone for I don't know 10, 5 years, maybe even longer than that, right? Maybe it's something spiritual, could be as well, right? Maybe you've been on the self-glorification journey for a while, and it's like, I do not understand anything about life or existence, and I don't know what the fuck to do with this. Like, why have I been on the journey of like self-discovery or spirituality? It can be anything. Could be a house, could be like an actual materialistic thing you wanted to get, either a living environment or maybe like a car or just like a journey plan or a vacation. Some people like literally haven't had a vacation for a really long ass time and they've been trying recently, right? So, yeah, we're gonna delve into that. We'll see what's happening. I feel like your seeds are growing. It's just you don't see that happening. It's kind of like obviously, if you plant seeds and then you have them grow, but you can't harvest them, it kind of defeats the purpose of it in a practical sense, right? Let's say if a farmer actually was just having like a whole field of seeds that were growing, but they didn't yield harvest, and you're about to go through a period of where you gotta like eat or something, and you don't have I don't know, stock or savings or storage to actually feed yourself from, that is like a bust, right? For that season, or it seems like a bust. But let's say maybe if you wait just about a month or a week or a few weeks more, you get a bountiful like harvest, bigger than ever. The fruits are much more ripe, or there's just more of them in general, right? And they're also bigger in volume. It kind of then makes it all easier, but also then you have different problems like what the fuck do I do with all of this harvest? Do I sell it? Do I give it away? Do I start conserving it and like, also preserving it and making my own like jars and stuff like that, canning, like what do I cook from it? Like what do I do? Where do I put it? How do I allocate the necessary space for all of this unexpected harvest? So that's what is also coming across is like it's there, yeah, it's having like a growth stump or whatever you would call it as, but it is coming through. It's just not when you expect it to, and you still need to make the most out of the situation you're currently in, because there's things that are unseen happening in unseen realms, or there's unseen things happening in between of this occurring. So maybe there's certain conversations being had between certain people. Maybe there's certain people in your group that are going to become known as people that have been tampering with your process or have been doing extra legwork for you to succeed, right? Maybe there's something happening in your company that you don't know about and the changes have been taking longer. Maybe you in general haven't found the right job yet because the The recruiters aren't even like aware that they're gonna need to recruit people like you. They don't have the program laid out for them. Whatever the situation is, it's like it's not there yet. Maybe if it's like a romance journey, right? The person that you're supposed to meet is still kind of lagging behind on some things that they need to come to terms with to be open to find, I guess, this opportunity to even meet you, right? To be open to have you as a friend that then becomes something more, something else like that. Like stop beating down yourself and your efforts just because they haven't turned out the way that you've expected them to. They need more time, just as you need more time in some area as well. I was like, do I really? And it's like, yeah. Do I really need to pull these cards? Yeah, so the recommendation that's coming across is like stop holding on to things that made you feel like you actually were stable because they are going to change and shift as well. It's kind of like the way you were processing to live your life doesn't fit in the new life that you are creating. It's about to change, and it's not like you need to like throw everything out right this instant or just destroy everything you have or whatever. It is kind of more speaking to the point of like detach from it being a necessary part of your life so you can be more unchained and unshackled when the time will come for you to move and to shift gears and to go ahead to this next stage. So, for example, if you're living in a place where it's like, but I got this as an inheritance and da 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 da, and I can't let it go, and it's my family ancestry and hierarchy, but do you really need that home? Is it better to just get the money from the home and find a better place for yourself? Especially while maybe the market is good enough, or maybe when someone is going to be like a settled potential buyer, right? Instead of trying to hold on to that home and then, I don't know, you start having like a bunch of million issues with it that you don't have money for. You can't repair it, right? Um, or the market goes bust and you can't get as much money for it, or the environment you're in, if it's already giving signs that like it's toxic or dangerous and unhealthy, it becomes even more so dangerous and unhealthy to stay in. So that's just an example. I'm not qualified as any type of professional for any official, recommendations or suggestions. You make your own damn decisions, and I just read cards. This is just entertainment purposes. But if that resonates, because I feel like it might resonate to someone, but you make your decisions. If it's something along the lines of like holding on to a job and being afraid that you're not going to find something as good or as comfortable, then also face the point of like, is it really good enough for you? Is it comfortable? Or do you feel fulfilled and does it hold purpose for you in your life, or is it kind of just like a comfortable job you're wasting away in? Wouldn't it be better to be open to your own journey and adventure of learning something new, or becoming a different type of specialist, or joining a different company, even if it's not as big of one, right? Maybe it's a bit smaller, maybe it's just a completely different field. Weigh out what you are attached to and why, and realize that what resources you have currently right now are well enough and good enough for you to survive by and make this transition with, but you don't need them to be happy if that is the case, if that's true. If it is something very sentimental or important, also kind of face that. Like, look into that. Is the sentiment still there? Is it made up? Does it really speak to you? Is it important to your heart? Is it kind of just like a meaningless attachment that isn't healthy for you and you're making it out to be a bigger thing than it is? Or maybe, you're just holding on to a way of living because you're scared that that was the only way you made things work, and how are you going to make things work if this isn't going to be the way you live your life anymore, right? And you're already changing over to a different life. Like you're already shifting into that new way of being. Try, looking at it that way that if you're gonna be a different person, a different life, you're gonna need to do things differently. You won't need to hold on to the same things that made you, have your head above water or like kept your boat from sinking. Even like I think this card kind of speaks to that really well. All of these swords are blade first into the damn boat and it's not sinking. Everyone's having their journey and it's fine. It's just very goddamn stressful. It's a lot to be carrying yourself as well as, I don't know, whatever you look forward to in the future or whatever is kind of bringing out that youthful flair in you, right? And still have these worries and these fundamental needs and desires of like having your real world responsibility sorted, right? But it's kind of like the reason you're so stressed or feeling so stressed or like you can't be self-sufficient in making this transition is basically like holding on to how things have been or where you're at currently. From an inner child's perspective, it would be like trying to have more fun and stop being like so attached to things. Because let's say back in, when you were like little or in the day or whatever, just remember those moments where you weren't looking to the next paycheck or how to make every penny last and any circumstance work out for you, or how to get the most use out of everything and how to save the best you can. Like look to the point where you didn't maybe know you didn't know everything, right? You didn't know where the next bit of either money or success was going to come from or by. But you also were just having fun with the situation in the best way you could while being completely stable and having enough resources, right? So you didn't really think to the next thing. You were just kind of like taking the moment for what it was and what it gave you, and then just having the journey you needed with that as well. You knew that you were going to, have a roof over your head, you were going to eat for that day, for that week, however long it's going to be for. It's kind of like the example, a better way I guess I could provide this example is like, when you go on vacation and then your vacation goes like that and you weren't present through the vacation and you were also just worrying about that point that the vacation is going like really quick or you're not enjoying it as much or it's like not working for you to that extent that you would really need it to and you didn't rest and it's kind of like you could have just hyper focused on the point that you're on vacation and doing something fun and happy. Same as with time off, right? Even when you're working or the weekend, whatever it is, it's kind of like be present and focus on the stuff that does matter instead of trying to be all put together right away because you're kind of like not meant to be all put together right away. So yeah, I guess like the criticism that's coming across, and it's not like in a negative sense, it's more in the case of like you're in your head, get out of your head. You don't need to be perfect. You can just be happy with whatever you have. And even if it looks or seems reckless in the moment, it's really not. It's actually going to help you get through this easier. And in the long run, it's going to be a lot more like fruitful for you. Is kind of just the point of like take action on having that like childlike beginner mindset of things are okay. I don't know how they're gonna work out tomorrow, but I do have today. And all I can do today is this, that, and the other, right? It's kind of like people stress out over not having a job, but they, for the entire time that they don't have a job, they do feed themselves, they still live in some type of home. And if they don't, I mean, this is kind of not necessarily speaking to a point of complete destitution of where you're totally fucked for everything. This is kind of like you still can make it through whatever you're going through, and this is just a reminder to not making it make it more stressful than it is. But let's say like you are searching for a job for a really long time, right? And you still have a home, you still have food, you still have clothes. Yeah, maybe you're not living the most luxurious, frivolous life ever, and not hyper spending out on things that you really need in your eyes or really love, like either junk food or going out all the time or buying a bunch of video games or buying a bunch of like jewelry or other things, or you're, kind of going on sales more so than just buying stuff straight out with the price tag that it originally has, which most people are kind of doing that these days, especially these days. You're still fine. For that entire time, you're still fine. And some people spend so much time in that, like, not just weeks, like months, and they're super hyper stressed. They're super negative about it to themselves. They're beating themselves over it. They're also criticizing like the economy and the place they're living at and the neighborhood and everything else. And then they're jealous of their friends or their other family members. And it kind of just becomes this like snowball effect of everything's just totally messed up and it's not viable. It's like, but if you're going to spend that amount of time either way anyway, and you're going to be fine, is it really helpful being so self-degrading about your circumstance? Tough times happen to everyone, but it is a lot of the time like how you handle them, and sometimes that's literally the thing that fixes it all, or makes it like a different story to look back on than, what you go through initially in a general scheme and sense of things. Like you can actually dig the hole deeper and make it worse, is how it's coming across. Not that you're doing that, it's just saying like mentally you can do that to yourself and you deserve to actually like, see the benefits of it, be a bit more joyful, be more lighthearted, take life for what it is when it isn't the like general definition of success and what it means to be like successful. Because ultimately, I don't know why, but you are attracting something really cool to yourself and you're actually making something awesome come from all of this. I think it's just you thought it was going to be easier by now, or that it was going to take less time, or that you were going to have like more to go off of currently, or it you had like maybe an opportunity to distract yourself from like the hardship of it, right? But it's kind of like you couldn't take it also because it was gonna make things worse. So it's kind of like living responsibly within your means, but also you're creating something amazing from it. You're also in a place where you're really growing as an individual. You're gaining talents that other people don't necessarily get. Not everyone can actually gain this wisdom the way you are gaining this wisdom. And you're really kind of like at a point where you can make the most out of this darker situation for yourself, even though it really kind of doesn't look that way. Yeah, something's gonna come your way when the time will be right. It's just, it's not right now. It right now is kind of like how are you gonna go through the ending of this when it's the most uncomfortable, when the only options you have are very much unconventional and only personal to you. It's kind of just in your heart and in your mind, right? It is kind of like maybe you're living out of your car type of situation or on your savings or you keep kind of going from paycheck to paycheck, or you don't know if this artistic endeavor and project is actually going to work. Maybe your parents are writing you on something and you kind of like quit uni over something. I don't know, like this is kind of personal to everyone depending on your situation, but the way it's coming across is like just let it end and have as much fun as you can. Don't be completely reckless, but like support yourself emotionally the best you can and do the mental like trickery behind it, right? Where it's kind of like some people would call you maybe mad and crazy, right? But like everyone can find ways to make a situation worse by complaining about it or not seeing like the benefit in it. And not everyone can make something that is quite a arduous task or a hardship of some sort make it look like actual fun or something good that happened to them. Most of the time, we only see that to be the case when we look back on our like most difficult or darkest life scenarios and circumstances, right? But in hindsight, then, or retrospect, we can also look back and be like, I could have done that from the beginning. I could have like had a different perspective, had a different approach, had a different way of handling myself or the circumstance I was in, right? I could have spoken to myself differently. I could have expressed the problems I had differently instead of like constantly riling on them and digging into them. I could have like done A, B, C differently, but it always kind of only looks like that by the end of the journey. Or if you actually take the time in the present moment to be compassionate towards yourself and to give yourself credit and to accept where you are at and kind of like be your own cheerleader, the best friend that you always wanted to have, right? Because at a lot of points in life, that's also like a case of like, it's not really given by other people, it's you yourself creating that. And then other people can kind of get, in on that too. So it's kind of like let the system of the old fall away, let the new thing come in as it has to, and you'll find order in the point of like just letting things be as they are and just letting them die. Because good things are coming your way. You've done so much. You're really, really quite innovative, even though it doesn't look that way. Some of the greatest minds or achievers have literally come from freaking being dirt poor. Stephen King was actually a example of, I believe, like living in a trailer home, and everyone was like the mother and him, so his wife and him, had I think like a couple of kids or maybe like three. And they were constantly writing stuff, constantly writing stuff, sending it out to publishers. It was years of that. And they were like working double jobs to just even like keep afloat, and they were losing hope. He was losing hope, and he wrote something he thought it was trash. But then, like, his wife was cleaning up and saw it and was like, "This is great. No, you gotta keep writing this. You gotta keep making this." And he became fucking Stephen Goddamn King, you know? There's more examples than that, but literally, like, becoming great at something, anything, regardless if it's like, a great book writer or someone that's gonna become like a billionaire or millionaire or whatever, it's not what it seems like. The journey isn't what it seems like, especially for the individual, for the person that's going through it. And some of it is literally a lot of the time just like the normalcy of a person making it out of destitution into living a comfortable, cushy life. You don't need to necessarily be the next innovative scientist, creator, or book publisher, whatever it is, right? You might just become the next person that is so well off. You are a inspiration to other people that have fallen on dark or like difficult times and really needs to look forward to something better than that, right? And you might become that person. You might just be your own story for that. That's like, gonna keep it private. Whatever that is, whether you want to make something great or just live a great life, you're on your way to doing that and creating that. This is a part of the process, though, where you're supposed to feel upside down, like you can't look after yourself and everything's going away and falling away because everything you knew is going away so it can be replaced with something better. And there's still some nooks and crannies being sorted out by spirit, the divine force of all, or just by you inside of yourself. So when you need to, have those tough moments, but also whenever you can, relax, enjoy yourself, find ways of like having fun and really making this like emotionally easier on yourself because mentally you're really going through it. You really are. And it will be okay. Especially if you found this video randomly and you've never seen my fucking face before. Like, that's always a bit more of a sign. If you randomly find a video that is literally little in views and it resonates like this, and no one really watches stuff like that. Like, yeah, trust yourself and know that you're perfect. Everything's fine with you. Just give yourself a break. Give yourself a break. So yeah, thank you so much for joining. I hope you get through this very quickly and as easily as possible. And if not, that there's something that helps you cope through this difficult transition. Um, yeah, I pray for your success. And I'll call it here. If you want to see more of me, you can go check out my link tree down below. I do streams where you can get like a personal reading for free. So, yeah, peace out and see you next time. Hello, pile number two. So, as soon as I pulled this card down to start reading it, all I heard is like, why is it not starting yet? Rah! Which is kind of funny. It's kind of funny. It's definitely a lot easier of an energy than the previous reading. This one's more fiery and angry, and I can have fun and be uplifted because anger is easier somehow to channel from like I don't know a reading than it unless it's like real bad anger. If it's this type of healthy anger, it's fine. But if it's like sadness, depression, oppression, or just being really down on your luck, it's a bit different. But this is kind of like mother, I just want things to work out, and it's light. I don't know. It feels fine. I don't know why. It feels fine. It feels fine. So I'm not making light of your emotions. I hope you can feel and understand that this is fun. Um, Anger can be a really healthy and good emotion unless it's suffocating and it's stifled and it's kind of repressed, then it's not good, then it's not bueno. But if it's like you're expressing it and you're like sharing your disgruntlement, maybe making some people laugh in the process, or just fueling your own life, right? And you keep going, you keep living with it, then it's not that bad. Maybe the disappointment behind things not working out the way you want them to or not happening is real, but I don't know, the energy is so good and light here that it's like you could be in a worse spot, one. You could also be in a worse embodiment of that anger. And I feel like you're also like, yeah, I get it. I know. Like, can I get some fucking answers now? Like, can we move along? Um, that's interesting. I thought this was gonna be reversed. This is not reverse. Everything's upright. You haven't kept up with something. And I'm not calling you out in a negative way. I'm just saying like there's something. It feels like therapeutic. It feels like recognizing something deeper about yourself you haven't kept up with because you were like, that doesn't matter anyway. If I just focus on goals and doing my job and getting the money or getting the results or getting my I don't know, KPI or I don't know, whatever other point system you have at work, right? Or school or uni or whatever it is, I'll be fine. Tangible results are the thing that matters. All of this I don't know why came through. Take it for what it will, but healing mumbo jumbo is what I wanted to say. It's just healing mumbo jumbo. It doesn't matter that much. Just as like maybe therapy, like to an extent, is important, right? But getting to the grimy bits of like the details behind it isn't that important. If this resonates, this is definitely especially to you. If that doesn't resonate, there's still something here for you. But something about like your authentic self being really rooted in to planet Earth or something from your childhood you haven't looked into as like you're not expressing that part and it's necessary to see like why are you afraid of showing that side of yourself is really coming through, or why are you afraid of being creative and like whimsical or nonsensical? Why do you not do things just for the freaking heck of it, right? For the fun of it, for the opportunity to just create and just be in the moment. Why does 34 on the clock as well? Like, why does everything need to be perfect? Why why are you only going to draw if it's going to turn out really well? Why are you going to knit, stitch, or whatever only if it's going to look good? Why are you only going to go out with friends if there's a point to going out with the friends, right? Why not go out and see what happens? Why not just like start playing a game and see what happens? Why do you need to have everything point-based, goal-based, and if it doesn't have results, then it's not worth your time? And if that's not the thing, then it's still something about being creative, still something about you being like your authentic, natural self, you being like more raw instead of like appearing a certain way that's okay or digestible. Managing yourself so other people are more emotionally like comfortable is also coming through. Like that whole neurodivergent thing, right? Which honestly, some people would be less neurodivergent if they actually just admitted who they are and just were the way they are without being insecure about how that was going to make other people feel. Because their emotions are their freaking deal and problem. And if you've been anxious in the past, that might be a kind of reason why. And if you're just not fully expressing yourself because other people get uncomfortable for it and by it, that's their problem. Why do you have that as an issue? You know, if you're not doing anything wrong, then why is it an issue? Overall, it feels like you've been on a treadmill and you've just been a workaholic doing things, and you've not really looked at the real things of like who you are, how you express yourself. Why do you like censor yourself? Why are you people pleasy? Why are you too nice to someone? Why do you stay in the same relationships? Why do you stay in the same freaking like state of mind or paradigm, right? When you can shift and you keep having evidence of that and you then just skip those steps. I feel like you're basically like at a point of big intense change and you've been here for a while and it's literally all to do with your mind. It's kind of like you need to unlock the keys or to use the keys you have, but you've just not put the keys in the locks. You've gathered the keys, but then you realize what it entails, and you're like, I'm keeping those closed doors closed. I am not dealing with this. Like, and there's a reason behind it, and it doesn't serve you. It serves other people. It serves oppressive people around you. And I feel like I want to show this card. Like you need to flow through who you really truly are, all of your weird angles and quirky thinking, and maybe oppressed emotions you boxed in, like anger. That anger isn't bad. I don't feel like you want to burn the house down. I just think you want to tell some people how you think they've been negative or oppressive or manipulative or literally an asshole. And just tell them that. Like, you don't want anything from that. You just want to be upfront and honest and express yourself. And if they're going to be upset, let them be upset about it. No one likes being called out for what wrong they're doing, especially if they feel self-entitled in doing that wrong, right? And you'll have a lot more fun. I think you'll become a lot more cheeky. If you don't know what that means, it's I don't know, tongue in cheek is kind of a universal way of explaining it. Like, like being a person that's going to literally play with the point of someone being upset about something that's in general not a good approach to life or a good approach to other people, right? And you're like challenging that in a way where you feel like you're dancing around the boundaries of the social situation, right? Or dancing around what is the norm of like human people's behavior, right? Or you, instead of like feeling weak for something, you actually like stand up and you like endorse that. You give in to the point that you're gonna come across as like one thing. I feel like this is really hard to talk about too. I don't know why. I feel like some of you know what I mean, but it's kind of like, I don't know what you mean. What can you explain this? And it's like you're literally mind blocking yourself. Like you gotta get out of that state of mind thinking that's okay, because it's not. It's causing like mind blocks, fogginess, health issues probably, and you can just be cheeky and enjoy yourself as who you truly are, even if that's a bit more emotional or a bit more angry, or you're calling other people out, or enjoying the point that someone feels less than, or like you're getting some like one over or them. Like if you're being the winner in the argument or the situation, right? And they feel like they're the loser, right? But ultimately you understand there's no winner or loser. It's kind of just like being direct and you having fun with that, and that person feeling like they're losing their ish and their power because you're being direct with them. You're not playing their manipulative narcissistic games, for example, or you're not playing games where it's giving them the benefit of the doubt or more social like power or whatever. Maybe your inner child had that like power of being like the one that calls shit out adults, the one that like shows anger, and people like were like, fuck this kid. They think they're so much better than me, or they know shit, right? And I now gotta grow up and be better as an adult and actually figure my emotional trauma and other things out so I don't project it over kids. Fuck that. No, I'm gonna yell at that kid, stomp them down, and say they're fucked up, and they can't admit their power, and they can't actually be like real and creative over it, and they can't feel free and safe because them admitting the point that an adult is fucked up or doing something fucked up is fucked up. And it's not fucked up. It's actually like the point is like kids teach everyone around them a lot of wisdom sometimes if you're willing to listen to it. And yeah, it comes in a bit of a unfiltered, sometimes unfavorable way, but ultimately like if you've not oppressed the kids. And this is most kids, not all kids though. Like some kids are born with some some shit, some fucked up stuff. But not all of them are. They get that ingrained over time, right? So in this case, it's kind of like kids can really teach things through a unfiltered way, a fresh lens that isn't like socially boxed in or limited by dogma, right? Or by like societal brainwashing that this is how everything is. Like, oh, this is how women are, this is how men are, this is what real power is, this is how you earn money, and money is everything, right? This is what matters, this is what doesn't matter. You gotta dress that way, you gotta play with those toys, you gotta freaking act this way. Like, there's so much that a kid goes through to become this gray, pissed off, resentful blob of just being a suppressed being, just like everyone else does, right? But like, if you don't fuck your kid up and you're willing to listen to what they have to say, even when they're wrong, they're probably teaching you something. Or even if they tell it in a way that's not healthy, they're probably teaching you something. Or they're showing you something that could be a valuable like lesson on a emotional level. It's just a lot of the time people don't really take it that way. And I don't know why this is coming up, but I feel like this is resonating with someone very deeply of like they got really put down when they were a child and they had a lot of things to say and they really, really had good points that other people had to listen to, but they didn't want to because they were fucked up. They were really fucked up around them. And instead of like, having the capacity to really deal with that, they just eventually broke down and started following the rules that really made them put aside their power, put aside their voice, their sovereignty, and who they are, and their unique flair, and their unique approach to life, really. And the thing is, like, this took away their wisdom, this took away their power. Like, if you're a person that really struggles with making good money, feeling safe at your home, in your home, or even in your body, your social life is all over the place, out of whack. You don't have enough like supportive friends, or you don't have enough time to spend with your friends. Um, you're shackled to unhealthy relationships romantically, or four, as I say that, or like a fucked up family in general. I don't think this is just a family member. I feel like this is the whole entire family. If you're the youngest, especially as well, because a lot of the time the youngest is the person that keeps the whole thing together, because you're the last in the family. You're the generational breaker of like all of the fucked up habits, the goddamn curse shit that the whole family is carrying around, or the toxic behaviors and traits. Like you're the person that can show everyone how messed up they are. Most of the time, that's why the youngest is put into like a corner and a closet, not supported enough, and then they can't fix themselves or figure their life out because they have these unhealthy attachments, right? Um, and they really could break out of it and then just show everyone like what it is or how it is. But it's difficult. It's kind of like you're already kind of carrying so much, and it's a job. It's a bit of a journey, right? Um, Whatever it is, regardless of how far into the corner you are or how far ahead you are in breaking out of like this social brainwashing, you've skipped a step and you keep skipping it and you keep trying to gather like power behind it or harvest up some good stuff, and it keeps like falling flat or like falling behind, right? For people that are really far in the corner, you have one or two things internally to realize and understand and do emotionally or intellectually that's gonna like literally destroy the whole Jenga tower, and you're gonna be free to go. But it's gonna be like the experience of towers on towers, except for you keep getting good stuff from it. It's kind of like a, what do you call it? It's kind of like a chaotic fumbling down into your best life, and it keeps feeling better and better, but also it's chaotic and it's kind of like a high, and it's kind of like all over the place, and you keep having people be assholes to you, but you keep feeling better. Your health's better, your money's better, you keep getting great offers, you keep getting like successful moves, but you keep needing to move every year or something. Um, and there's stress and like hardship behind that, but you keep having like this new way open up each and every time. It's kind of like keep going with those opportunities of those towers happening. Like don't keep away yourself from that happening just because like you have the keys you're afraid to use to open those doors as we spoke about, right? If you're a person that's like actually in a better place than most, right? Or you are kind of successful but you're not that happy with it, it's kind of like you're ignoring something that would make your business really skyrocket, or you're ignoring accountability you need to take for your own like toxic behaviors where you've been a bit more egocentric or superficial instead of being a person that's literally like going for the meaningful side of like what you want to do, why you want to do it. Because at the end of the day, like, yeah, you want money, but at the same time, you're a human being that has a soul and feelings and a heart. And it's not just about like seeing the numbers in your bank account and being like, oh, I'm happy. Like, I feel like you're a bit deeper than that. That's not going to work for you anyway, and you know that already. So, to stop you from just being a workaholic that's trying to get that success, right, of like a good bank account little number, it's kind of like, no, we want you to figure this out so you know how to then be happy with the success you get, and then also reimburse yourself with the money you get, and keep creating something awesome or keep feeding your business. And having that like really be a successful thing because you have investors or you have happy clients or something, you like improve lives, not just your own life in a wholesome way that's not superficial, not only superficial. So stop looking at the things that society has said will make you happy. Stop looking at like the practical 3D things. Stop limiting yourself by this is the way to get to that result and start looking at what is like the hidden emotional thing behind it or the more like, I don't know, meaningful spiritual side of it, right? If you can see that as well. If it's like something energetic or intuitive that you can tap into it, tap into it. You do have gifts. You have like amazing understanding that most people don't, and that is great in business. That is amazing in business. If it's just you being happy in your life, right? Admit the darker emotions that will give you like wisdom and who you are and how you really need to carry yourself instead of putting yourself down as someone that never gets anywhere in life because like it's all in your mind and it's kind of like you've already gotten everything you need. You just need to take that path even though it looks scary. Because yeah, it's like breaking out of like deep oppression is how it's coming across. Yes, I don't ripple really well because I don't like rippling my cards. I ripple them like that just to like usually mix up like the reversals. Or sometimes it's kind of just to break apart the deck so it's like easier and better to shuffle. If you don't like it, it's your problem. You did everything right. It's kind of just like commit to your journey now. It's really about committing to your journey and uprooting yourself so you can downroot yourself into somewhere else. Be a snake if you need to be a snake is what's coming across with this serpent card as well. Like if Kundalini awakening came to your mind, that does resonate with that, but that's only for those that really like literally had that pop up in their mind or something, or you're like a spiritualist on your path. But you gotta like commit to what you've been doing for years now and what seeds you've been planting and like accepting the point that you gotta build roots somewhere else. Like where you are isn't sustainable and the environment isn't there, the water isn't there, nothing is there for you to be a happy tree or to create your own like family tree, right? The way you want it to be. You really gotta move and shimmy and like I feel like the clock is ticking for a lot of you. For others of you, it's kind of like you're being kept in a black box until you actually accept like the next step and then use those keys. But for others of you, I feel like there's a timing thing. There's like a cyclical thing happening, and if you don't do it this month, quote unquote, maybe it's like you will feel the time period I'm talking about. It could be a year, it could be a month, it could be a week for some of you, but I don't think so. I don't know. I don't know. It's kind of like you're gonna miss the boat and you're gonna need to spend the next cycle stage of your life in the same place you're currently in, and it's kind of like you already feel that or know that. If that wasn't the case, then don't take that message. It's not for you. Timing isn't for everyone, but for some of you that feel it, it's for you. Embrace your wild side. Like, let that nurture you. You don't need these people or things or circumstances or this brainwashing to help you get ahead in life. You can make the new way happen just because it's unknown doesn't mean it's not there. It's just unknown. And you're the one discovering it. You're your own, like, explorer. Upright or reversed? So, yeah, it's reversed because, like, you're not flowing with where your soul is going. You're trying to play a mind game out of life. You're trying to do what is societally acceptable. You're trying to do something that's gonna look good, that's going to actually be like the right thing on your CV, or traditionally it's what is accepted in your country, or your family has been like so harsh about this, and ultimately it's kind of like you're playing into your fears instead of actually playing into what you love and going off of that because you're afraid to be like such a wild self that's unrefined and is just out there, and it's like you take it or leave it. Like I don't give a shit anymore. You're afraid to go that last step of not giving a shit and just being yourself. And it's time to be yourself. It's really time to just like unveil and just be like, this is me. And if you can't support me, then you were never for me. And that's really the truth of life. A lot of the times, like nothing that really truly loves you is going to try and keep you stuck in a state of mind or in a certain situation or like certain emotions just because it benefits them. And it usually does. No one's going to try and censor you or put you down or say that you're fucked up if they love you. They will support you with all their heart and they will not manipulate you and not oppress you and not make you feel like shit. They will just support you and push you forward with all that they have. And if they're not doing that, then you're better elsewhere. You really are. You don't need those people that drag you down and make you feel like you're supposed to be encaged in a corner where you're just self-deprecating or you feel less than. Like it's not how, life works. It's how they make you feel that life works, or how certain things program you to see life. And it's really just a fear mentality to keep certain power struggles, or I don't know, hierarchy in place. And hierarchy doesn't fucking benefit anyone. There's a place for everyone in life, so no matter how weird you are. I don't know who needed to hear that, but I hope this helps. I will leave you here. Um, you know, there's a happy place for you on the other side of that door or those doors. Keep using the keys you found. Keep going, keep going. Um, and if you want to see more of me, go, into the link tree. If this has helped, I would appreciate a like. If you don't want to like, that's fine too. That's okay. But I'm gonna leave you here and see you next time. Bye bye. Hello, pile number three. I'm trying to tune into your message because as soon as I pulled it down, the thing that I was hearing is like, you're not tuning into the program of life. I don't know, that can be taken a lot of different ways, but like, also like you're going against the programming of life. Stop fighting it, give into it. It's time for you to be free and be set free. What deck? I guess we're gonna be using the actual like deck. Yeah. You ready to be set free? You don't need to be holding on so tightly. A lot of rhyming. You might be into poetry. You might be a deep thinker, a philosopher type of mind, a very like a life analysis, how do you say it? Like a person that analyzes life for every and any detail that you can find. Poetry, music, weird things in life like synchronicities and the Matrix idea is really like something that might pull at your heart or like make your mind feel fonder of being alive. You might have felt a lot of oppression and like you've always been on the outside of life as well. No one really ever got you, is how it's coming across. Like, no one really got you. No one sees life the same way you do. You uniquely see this weird lens of like life is all connected, or it's like unique, or it's like there's something of poetry behind it. There's a mass collective consciousness with it. Even if you've like not always believed in spirituality, there's like something of like a deep philosopher that was always at the heart of things within you, within how you perceived life or just lived with it. There's something that carried over from the other side, is how it's coming across. And you've also might have like really struggled with addictions. You might really be into an addiction currently right now. Maybe you're like a heavy smoker, a heavy drinker. Whatever you do, I feel like you have like a tolerance for it, or you've always had like an inept um attribute to it. So it's like I don't know, you can handle your alcohol, or if you're into smoking, you can handle that, or you don't have health issues with it for some weird damn reason. If it's gaming, you can do it for hours on end without the side effects. Um, if it's working out, you also have like a threshold for it. Same with working hard. You could just be a hard worker in general. But and yeah, also it's kind of funny how we have the poetry card right away. I have shuffled this. I have shuffled this. So, um, you're closing the distance between you and what you are seeking, but there's something in your mind that actually is like an old paradigm, and I think you've taken it up because you thought it was right or it was the right thing, but there's a part of your heart that's screaming out against it and against you and saying, like, no, that's not right. That's not the right thing. You need to change that way of how you look at life, how you look at yourself. You need to open up to a more whimsical way of being. You need to open up to magic. You need to open up to spirituality in a deeper way, and it's personal to you. You don't need to follow a guru. You don't need to get into chakras or crystals or cards or whatever. You have a unique talent when it comes to living life and playing with the spiritual side of it, and it's unique to you. And it is like a curiosity that you have that you never gave into because it's kind of like that's woo-woo or that's crazy. I feel like it's more like it's crazy. Like that's not how life works. That's just crazy. Like life isn't connected that way. That's make believe. That's whimsical. That's fairy tales. And because you feel it so much or it sounds so much true, it's so much more scarier to get into. I don't know why this is coming across. I don't usually do this in my readings at all. This is the first time I'm saying this, but like if you're from my Twitch, and I recently gave you a reading like this month or the last 2 months or something, this is especially like pertinent to you, but this is also like around the time, I guess. I mean, however you receive that part is just up to you, but that's how it came across. If you got a reading from me on Twitch and that was like a vibe or a thing, or just a really wacky, weird experience, and you clicked on this, and this is also resonating, like, I don't know, I feel like you were taking yourself on a journey through some portals and on an adventure consciously, and you can trust yourself. And this is not necessarily like some if you want to believe in spirit, then fair enough, develop that for yourself. But this is kind of more like coming across as like you're taking yourself on a journey, and it's time for you to give into that and trust your own journey. To open your heart to something bigger in yourself that is going to make you really happy. This isn't necessarily about succeeding or making something of yourself or creating something grand or big. This is you becoming happier as who you are and finding a place in life that no one else can find because it's you finding like a resonance within the world. And then that has its own magic. Like that shines out into something amazing, honestly. But you are closing the distance, you're really going through a big transformational like period, and you're going in between of worlds instead of going through a specific like doorway. I don't know. It's kind of like you're finding your own place in between of worlds. And the purpose of it is literally just being more gentle as a person. I think you're very, very critical because you're so analytical and you see so much truth. And there's a lot of darkness in the world, and that truth kind of screams out more so than the truth that is against darkness or contrary to darkness, right? Or makes light of darkness and makes it have purpose. It's kind of like there's so much good stuff in the world too. There's so much good shit out there. It's just so you gotta seek it out. You gotta find it because darkness tries and screams out to people to make them feel like worse about themselves and to drag them down and to be bigger than it is. Whereas light kind of is just light. It's just its own thing and it doesn't need to prove itself. It's kind of like you gotta seek it out, so you get feed into it, so it feeds you, right? You gotta feed those parts of yourself instead of just like staying stuck in darkness. And I feel like, yeah, you're a person that has a really bright mind, a really good head on their shoulders, but you use it to analyze you use it to analyze things and to make them out to be like, I heard someone just be like, get out of my head. Sorry. I feel like you just analyze things and make them out to be like this fact of life, and everything has to go by facts and be systematic and be purposeful and be like that creates a really critical narrative and state of mind and a way of living that's only point-based and purpose is just like that. It doesn't actually have any flair or art or joy or like gentleness with it or purpose or meaning that's deeper beyond that. It all falls into this like categorical system and way of being, and it takes the joy and love out of things where you can actually use it to figure out like the secrets of the universe that no one else is ever going to see. You can see like really weird quirks in how life works. You can see uniqueness in art that other people don't get to experience. You can create some really good shit out of it too. You can like become the next great thinker, or you can just become the next best feeling person slash thing in the world. Um, and I feel like that's like a weird assortment of words, and it can be like unique to every person clicking onto this. Um, I don't think everyone wants to be like revered or popular in this deck. Actually, I feel contrary. I think people here just want to be happy, and the way to your happiness is by you giving into exploring your quirkiness and kind of like using that system or that way of you analyzing things to your benefit instead of to your detriment, because you're looking at things in a way that's like almost like veering you off path into literally being like everyone else. And I feel like that's the last thing you want to be and do. And the other side of it is what would be considered in contemporary society, especially, but also throughout history, to be weird and quirky and mentally offbeat and philosophically out there and existentially invalid. It's kind of like, no, if you feel good about it, just be it. Who cares? Like you don't need to prove anything by this. You're still gonna have a job, you're still gonna be able to feed yourself, you're still gonna like have friends, you're still gonna do this and that. You might just eventually be living such a unique experience in life inside of yourself or even in the real world that no one else is going to ever be able to like hold a light up to, right? Or, you can't necessarily like translate to others, but you're actually leaving something behind to be a like living, breathing example of it, either to yourself or maybe even to others eventually. Because it kind of sometimes when you meet those weird people out on the street, and they talk in this weird manner and way, but they're so happy and everything looks like it works out for them, but then they're like kind of like broke, but everything's all right for them. It's kind of like a very big trip, right? It's a weird experience because it's kind of like they leave you with a better feeling than you had before, but also with a bunch of questions. You can't put your finger on them. You can't explain who they are or how they are, right? Um, I feel like everyone's met that type of person either in their youth when they were little or when they were a teen or maybe in their 20s, right? And it's like that one weird ass person that really made me question life in a positive way and come back from my own like negative narrative. And if you've not met that person yet, I hope you meet one just so you can see what I mean, because there's just some weird ass people out there that have n not even a single bad bone in their whole body, but they're just like trippy. Like you don't know what to put about them or say about them. It's just kind of like, well, that was weird. That was a good experience. Like that was an interesting conversation. It didn't go anywhere. I didn't get anything from that per se, but like they looked like they were high on something, but I know they weren't. They were very much lucid and sober. I just, or up in their head about something you know no one could understand. Like no one could, maybe you kind of question whether they understand it, but they definitely do. It's a very surreal experience with certain weird type of folk, but I don't know. I feel like you have something like that inside of you, and if it's not something like that, that there's something from a period like that in your life, maybe a meeting of a person of that, or maybe like, people perceive something about you to that extent. Whatever it is, you can definitely like keep feeding into the whimsical, like happy go lucky side of it instead of like being bogged down by reality and what it is. Because, if other people don't get it, if they don't get to live it, who fucking cares? You're gonna be happy. And you're closing the distance on it. I think it's just like getting satisfied that your life is gonna be this. It's gonna be uniquely you. You don't need to be miserable over it. You don't need to make anything of it. You don't need to prove anything. You can just be happy. But I feel like this is very nervous energy as well. Like it's happy and ecstatic and exciting, but there's something in the body that makes you react a certain way to this. There's something like deep within you, kind of like if you went to the heart, it would go so deep it would start getting into the stomach. Um, it's kind of like even making me sweat. I don't know why. Maybe you had like a particular reaction that made you scared or made you feel like this is fake and not real or like it is dangerous or so I feel like someone just made a lot of fun off of you and made you feel like you're just a kid or like you're just doing make believe and thinking it's real. I don't know, something about that where it's kind of like someone mocked you for your purity and innocence and actually that was if you were to follow that, it would lead you to your genius almost. To your own little world, yeah, but still to your genius. You could create your own poetry from it, and who fucking cares about that? Well, people that are jealous most of the time. That's why they gotta put it down, because they couldn't even amount to whatever this is. Yeah, no, you're gonna change a lot, even if this is gonna be your own personal experience that never goes outside of you, outside of your head or heart or whatever, if you just keep doing whatever you're doing and closing this like threshold, this distance between you and this thing, if you just like dive into this freaking ball pit and just let yourself be there instead of like looking over at it and constantly pondering it and being like, nah, I'll put it down and put it off, you're gonna bring that into the world because at least there's going to be another person that gave into the beautiful temptation of like the soul and the heart and the mind as well. Instead of repressing it and or making it into a business or figuring out how to make it like work or how to get money off of it or how to have other people respect it or respect you as in whole as a person, right? Instead of doing all of that, someone just gave in and freaking started like living in the ball pit, just started like frolicking in their own world basically. And it was revolutionary. Like, it was a feeling that everyone felt a little bit more inside of themselves because of that. Because unity consciousness, or the collective as we are, that's kind of how it happens. If one person does something within themselves, it expands it within everyone else. It's a small thing, but it's still a huge thing at the same time. And it doesn't matter when, who does it, what it still is a ripple that stays. It's like a frequency that just is in the airwaves and it doesn't go away. I think you're going to be very much seen by a lot of people. I think people are going to notice you in the street a lot more randomly out of nowhere. I think other friends are going to, if they already talk about you, they're going to talk even more about you. I think you're going to be like a very shiny person or like a rare commodity even for employers. even if you just jump from job to job to job, there's something about your personality and character that's really going to stand out, even if this is like a private thing to you. And if it isn't a private thing, it's really going to be seen by a lot of people, even if it doesn't make money, even if it's not going to be the most popular mainstream thing. It's gonna stay somehow. It's really gonna like have a relevance, and either way, it's gonna create like this change for all. Revolution, one for all, is like really sticking out for me. Um, and at the end of the day, the ultimate point of it is you're going to be happier, you're going to be celebrating, you're going to be actually more present in life, enjoying yourself, and you're going to feel better, and your mind isn't going to be as dark, and your soul is going to feel like it's more fulfilled, like it can just be free in the world that it inhabits, and you can just be free in your own world within yourself. And that's just going to create like better moments of celebration or connection or satisfaction just from like everyday things that you do. Yeah, like food's gonna be tastier, gaming's gonna be better, going outside's gonna feel more free, doing creative stuff is gonna like, yeah, just be more fun, and yeah, socializing and drinking even can become more interesting without you needing to have it as an addiction, right? Or something that like you try to dissociate with, you're gonna actually occasionally have this like unique experience with stuff like that. I do not condone any unhealthy behaviors, but I do speak to them, and this is all for entertainment purposes. Sometimes I do need to say that. But yeah, go get it. I feel like this was a really good I don't know, just even Steven type of like reading. Like it felt very whole. It felt really good and healthy. I don't know. I just feel really good after doing this reading. So thank you for getting it. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate you clicking on the video and getting this reading. And closing off the pick a pile for today. Yeah, if you want to see more of me, you can go down below into the link tree. And if this resonated, please just leave a like to let me know. Or don't. That's fine too. No one, you don't need to do what you don't want to. But besides that, I'm gonna leave you here and say peace out and have a wonderful time wherever you are doing whatever you're doing. So, yeah.